The Matt Black Kia Studios.
Oh, what a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Wednesday edition of Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app. But we are live hanging out with you as the Eagles continue their preparations for Doug Pederson and the Jacksonville Jags. Also, the Phillies. What is wrong with the Phillies? I have no idea. I mean, that team is just driving me nuts at this point. So we'll get to the Phillies as well. Also, we'll talk some Bellator MMA a little bit later. So here's the game plan right now. So learn and confirm former MMA lightweight champion Josh Thompson is joining us coming up at 6:40 tonight. We usually do Weinberg Wednesday with Dave Weinberg. The plan is for Dave to join us on the phone. He's been having some traveling stuff going on. So, I don't want to get too much detail into what's going on with him, but it's a traveling issue. So he's a little delayed from getting on to the video connection. So we'll try to hook up with him via the phone today for Weinberg Wednesday. As always, you can join the conversation. 609-403-0973 is text board. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. And the thing I want to start with right now is the latest Eagles news that came out, which was a little earlier today when they came out with the injury report. The injury report, it wasn't that it was overly serious, but there was enough going on with the report that definitely, how should I put this? Definitely makes you feel a certain way. Because I told you guys on Friday's show about my concerns about Dickerson in the unspecific foot injury he's dealing with. Well, he didn't practice again today. And I don't know if he's going to play this week or not. Now, the good thing is you might be able to get away with him not playing this week if, and I say if, you take Jacksonville at face value. Here's what I mean by that. Jacksonville's defense is a good defense, but it doesn't have elite big boys like Allen and Payne and those guys, Montez Sweat up front. They got Walker, the rookie, who's a stud. I won't deny that. They have what's his name? Josh Allen coming off the edge. Josh Allen from Kentucky, not Josh Allen, the quarterback. So you have enough talent that you should be able to handle that. So, but the Dickerson thing is something to keep an eye on. This is a guy who, throughout his college career, he had injuries. And this was the big rub against him coming out of college to the NFL, which was, can this guy handle what comes with being an NFL player, which is playing year in and year out? And I hope this is not a situation where Dickerson week in and week out is going to have injuries year in and year out, because when this line is healthy, they should be one of the best in the NFL. Now, they didn't play so well in week 1, and they've got better from week 2 to week 3 for sure. But there was at least 2 times I remember Dickerson, it looked like he had trouble planting his feet. I don't know what it was exactly, but I have some concern. He did not practice today. The rest of the guys who were DMPs, I'm not overly worried about. Slay, apparently, according to reports, working on the side field. So it's not like he was, completely unable to do anything. A.J. Brown missed because of the birth of his next child. And then Boston Scott, DMP with a rib, which could mean anything. All I know is it's not a fractured rib cartilage like Justin Herbert. So, but look, we're going to keep an eye on this situation because injuries start becoming part of the narrative this time in the football season. Look at the Chargers right now. The Chargers are without Rashawn Slater for the rest of the year. Joey Bosa is out an indefinite amount of time after having groin surgery. And then Guyton, one of their backup wide receivers, is done for the year. So The Chargers have a ton of injuries to deal with. Look at the Patriots. Mac Jones is probably not playing this week, and that changes how things look for the Patriots coming down the next couple of weeks. You got to go to the Green Bay this week. Good luck with that. So injuries become part of the narrative. It has to be part of the conversation. Look at what's going on with Thursday Night Football tomorrow night, which you can hear right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Coverage begins tomorrow night at 7:30. The Dolphins-Bengals game has a bit of a cloud over it because Tua apparently is still dealing with that back and ankle issue. And one of his tackles, Teron Armstead, is also questionable. So you have two guys who are important to that offense, one of your best offensive linemen and your starting quarterback, who are both questionable going into a Thursday night game on a short week with injuries. So for me, what I am looking at right now is a football team in Miami. They may be 3-0, but they're not healthy. They got a ton of guys who have missing practice at different points this week. I'll just run down the list for you. I mean, I'm looking at it earlier, and it's ridiculous. You're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys who were all questionable. And remember, there was no hitting practice or anything this week. It was all walkthroughs because 1, they got a game on Thursday night. 2, they had to get out of town as soon as possible because of that hurricane that's coming through Florida. And that's why the Bucs were allowed to use the Miami facilities for their practices. You're talking about Teron Armstead, Xavier Howard's one of the best corners in the NFL, by the way. Tua, Jalen Waddle, one of their best wide receivers, and all those guys are questionable. That's like a 30-year offense right there. So, injury is going to be part of the conversation this time of year. And something I am keeping an eye on, and we will continue to keep an eye on here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Text board is open. 609-403-0973 is the text board. We hope to get in touch with Dave Weinberg coming up in about 6 minutes from now for this week's edition of Weinberg Wednesday, as well as former Strikeforce MMA lightweight champion, now commentator for Bellator MMA, Josh Thompson, will join me coming up around 6:40 tonight. As always, you can join the conversation, 609-403-0973 on the text board. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Is powered by First Bank of Seattle. Before we hit the break real quick, I just want to say about the Phillies. You've had 4 games against the Cubs, and you've scored 8 runs. I don't care about defense right now. I don't care about pitching. You lost 2-1 last night. This Phillies team has to get their head out of the sand and start scoring runs more consistently. What they've been doing lately is an embarrassment. It's a joke. The Cubs are one of the worst teams in baseball. And yet I'm supposed to accept the fact that you lost 2-1 to them? No. You got to win tonight, Phillies. Got to win tonight. More offense. More offense is needed. And by the way, what's going on with Wheeler? Why can't he pitch 75, 80 pitches yet? Are they telling us something? All right, more Game Night coming in next to me. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app. And, of course, it is a Wednesday coming up tonight. We have Cardinals versus Brewers, a game that a lot of Philly fans keep an eye on. And, of course, Eagles football this Sunday, the return of Doug Pederson with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick on the call here at your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN FM.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2022 season this Sunday against Doug Pederson and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Devontae Smith, touchdown! He caught it in the corner of the end zone.
Pre-game coverage starts at noon with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action starting at 1 p.m. This is where the Philadelphia Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagle station.
At Rossi Honda, don't wait for new inventory to arrive from the factory. Order your next vehicle today. Become a VIP and hold your rate up to January 31st, 2023. Get 1.9% financing for 48 months discounts on a new Pilot or Passport. Get up to $750 in savings with a loyalty lease on Civic, Accord, and Insight. The time is now. On the lot or special order. Get the vehicle and deal you want. Rossi Honda or RossiHonda.com. We treat you better. Period.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Bianna's bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive presents Don't Do It Yourself.
Okay, simple enough. Just got to get in there with my screwdriver. Do you mind handing me my screwdriver?
Are you trying to say screwdriver?
Well, I mean, you're saying it weird, but yeah, sure.
Look, maybe we should bundle our home and auto with Progressive. We could save big, then pay someone to install this for us so you don't have to pretend you can.
I know my way around a screwdriver. Oh, yeah. This is going to take a Philippe's head for sure.
Save when bundling home and auto with Progressive and use the money to, not do it yourself. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
At my age, I never dreamed I'd be dealing with opioid addiction.
I was pregnant and I couldn't stop.
Getting sidelined by an injury was bad, but the cravings were way worse.
Then I heard about 844-REACH-NJ.
They connected me to treatment and I had a healthy baby.
844-REACH-NJ was the call that made the difference.
Thank goodness I made the call.
So glad I made the call for both of us.
REACH-NJ. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, call 844-REACH-NJ from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
Businesses don't run on automation or algorithms alone. What powers businesses are your people and the people they serve. At Cintas, your dedicated service reps understand what you need to help you keep your employees feeling safe, comfortable, and performing their best. So your business can too. For workwear, essential cleaning products, first aid and safety supplies, and fire protection services, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Rezzle is the world's #1 virtual reality sports trainer. Whatever your team, your sport, your ability, improve your game and train like a pro. Rezzle. Reactions, performance, accuracy, stamina, resilience. Train at home in the Rezzle Sports and Fitness VR training arena. Search Rezzle, REZZIL. Harder, stronger, smarter. The world's #1 virtual reality sports trainer. Available now on MetaQuest.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Been car shopping lately? What a hassle. Way overpriced vehicles, limited inventories, endless waits for new cars. But that's not the way it is at Bennett Chevrolet. Because Bennett's got the new and used vehicles you want in stock, ready to roll. And get this, Bennett Chevy is selling new Chevys right at MSRP. Not 1 cent more. Look around, you'll see. Selling at MSRP is very rare. And to keep your payments low, we've got financing from just 1.9%. And we're still paying a record minimum $7,000 for any trade. And I mean any trade towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's right. We're paying a minimum $7,000 for the worst trade out there. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And at Bennett, you'll love the way you're treated because our non-commissioned sales team is paid based on your overall satisfaction, not how much you spend. Come see how easy car buying can be when you find new roads at Bennett Chevy. Egg Harbor Township and BennettChevy.com. With GMF financing, approved credit, excludes Corvette and prior sales.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Game Night being brought to you by my friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's in Atlantic City every Thursday night. College football on Saturday. All that and more. Eagles on Sundays. Catch all the action and bet on all the action over at FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's off the boardwalk in Atlantic City with 10 betting kiosks, 5 betting windows, 13 big screen TVs, and plenty of comfortable seating. So just head over to FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's off the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Get on all the football action this season. FanDuel wants every bettor's experience to be enjoyable and fun. Visit FanDuel.com/playwell. Learn more. Must be 21 or to play. And present in New Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Well, we weren't sure if we were actually going to be able to talk to him because, you know, in 2022, apparently, we still can't actually depend on people to get the times around us correct. So, but he made it, and we're glad to have him. Weekly, every week, Dave Weinberg joins us. Extra Point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Dave, you made it. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Josh. How are you? Yeah, just got off the plane coming back from a little vacation in Myrtle Beach, but I couldn't miss talking to you.
Well, I appreciate you making it because let's be realistic. We got a lot to talk about, you know, and it starts with the Eagles are one of only 2 3-0 teams in the NFL. So, Dave, as someone who's covered the Eagles for a long time, how do you put this current team in the context?
Well, looking really good at the moment. I mean, it's hard to argue with 3-0. Minnesota was supposed to be more of a challenge, but didn't turn out that way. So, I mean, you have to give them, there's still a long way to go, obviously, but, so far so good. They're looking like a really strong playoff contender at this point.
What has been more surprising to you? Is it the growth of Jalen Hurts from week 1, week 2, week 3, or is it the fact that the defense all of a sudden can get sacks?
Probably the defense. I mean, they were really struggling the first 2 weeks and get 9 sacks against Carson Wentz on Sunday. That seemed to be the most impressive thing to me. Although, I mean, Jalen has certainly been just as impressive, if not more so. I mean, just the way he's grown as a quarterback and as a leader from week to week is really something special to watch.
If Jalen Hurts can keep this up, maybe he's not, 80% like he was on Monday Night Football, right? But, if he continues to put consistent performances, should he be the leading candidate for MVP? Because right now he has the 3rd best betting odds.
Certainly a contender and a strong contender. Yeah. I mean, you can't, like I said, you can't argue about what he's accomplished to this point. He's been probably the most impressive player in the NFL through 3 games. Like you said, his completion percentage is great. He's been spreading the ball around, scoring points with his legs and his arm. He's been the total package to this point. So yeah, I guess you have to consider him one of the top 3 at least.
Yeah, right now number 1 is Josh Allen. He's the number 1 on most books. And then number 2 depends on what book you look at. Some books got Mahomes, some books got Tua, depending on how much money's coming into what book. You know how that works.
Right. I mean, Josh Allen is probably the favorite, but I would think I would put Jalen number 2 behind him.
You got to, because here's the problem with all the other teams. I just mentioned there's only 3 undefeated teams, and Dave, I'm sorry, I'm not convinced that Tua can stay healthy for a season. I mean, there's worry about his back locking up down in Miami, and now it's his ankle. People forget he had a tightrope surgery on both of his ankles, and now he's dealing with an ankle problem. Like, who's to say if he even plays Thursday night, how effective he can be?
Yeah, I was stunned that he actually came back from that hit that he took. I mean, I thought he was done after that. He was wobbling him off of the field and stuff. I'm shocked that he didn't, that he was able to pass the concussion protocol and come back into the game. But yeah, he's always seems to be like one injury away from being done for a couple of weeks. So yeah, it's kind of hard to rely on him given his injury history, like you said.
Now, the week that you and I have talked about multiple times is finally here. Doug Peterson return week. I'm expecting a standing ovation for him from those fans. I mean, Doug didn't want to leave here at all. He was sent out the door by the owner.
Yeah, you can't. How can you not respect and appreciate what he did? There's a statue outside the stadium, for goodness sakes, of him. Yeah, if anything less than a standing ovation, I'm going to be really disappointed in the Eagles fan base. I mean, he deserves that. He deserves that recognition, and I said that appreciation for what he accomplished, giving the franchise their first Super Bowl championship. And like you said, he would still be here if it was up to him. And, you know, if Jeffrey had just shown him a little bit, given him a little leeway in terms of say over assistant coaches and things. And so, you know, it's a real shame that he's not, but I'm glad that he's back. He seems to have the Jacksonville Jaguars certainly on the right track to becoming a respectable team again. So yeah, I'm really hoping that the fans appreciate what he accomplished on Sunday.
Dave, is there any concern that there's so many coaches on the Jag staff who are familiar with Philadelphia, and that might be something that could, you know, be a problem for the Eagles this Sunday?
I don't think so. This is always a week by week league, let alone a year by year. So, I mean, I think there's been enough time has passed. I mean, you saw with the Detroit Lions, Deuce Staley, Hank Fraley were both on that staff. And, you know, obviously they gave the Eagles all they could handle, but I think Jacksonville will too, just because I think Doug has them heading in the right track, like I said. But I don't know that Doug's familiarity and the coach's familiarity with him, well, I mean, with the team will have that much of an effect on it.
Well, I do know one thing, that if Jalen Hurts does win MVP, you can thank Doug Peterson, because according to reports, Doug Peterson wanted Jalen Hurts to be drafted. According to reports, Doug and Howie were pounding the table for Hurts. So listen, you know, whatever people think of those guys, you know, they might have gotten this team their next quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, Doug has always been about, you know, improving the team as much as he can, no matter whose feelings you hurt or egos that are bruised. And, you know, I think that the original intention was to bring Jalen in to be Carson's backup. But there's nothing wrong with a little bit of healthy competition. And Carson balked at that, and that's why he's not here, or one of the reasons he's not here. So, yeah, more power to him. I mean, he recognized Jalen's potential, and you're seeing the results of that right now.
Dave Weinberg joining us for a Weinberg Wednesday here on GameNight, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Of course, check out all of his extra point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Dave, I want to flip it over to baseball for a moment.
Sure.
You know, the Phillies, they lost 2-1 last night, and that's less of the concern than it is. This team has now scored 8 runs in 4 games versus the Cubs. The Cubs, Dave, like, you know, what happened to the team that was beating up on all the teams they were supposed to beat up on? I mean, they got a winning record against the Brewers and the Cardinals. Even the Dodgers, they have a 4-3 record against this year, but yet the Cubs give them problems.
Yeah, it's really strange, the fact that they've struggled against these teams, like you said. And, you know, this is the time of year you can't afford to do that right now, especially now with the playoff berth on the line. This is the time where you have to put your foot to the pedal and bury these guys and make sure that your playoff spot is solidified. And now it's kind of more precarious than it was a few days ago. And if they wind up not making it, it's going to be a major, major disappointment. I think they're going to wind up making it anyway, but they shouldn't be giving themselves so much angst over this.
Yeah, it just doesn't. And look, I understand it's a two-way street, because, for example, if the Phillies win tonight, the Brewers lose tonight, then it's down to 5, you know, to clinch.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a lost cause. They still can, you know, get in pretty easily. But I feel the pain of the Philly fan, Dave, because they're looking around. They're like, this team needs to, you know, lock up this playoff appearance and get it done with. And last night, you only let Wheeler go out for 62 pitches. It's like, it almost like this team is just going to stumble their way into the postseason.
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, they should have locked it up by now, or at least, you know, come a lot closer than they have. There's no reason to put your fans through this kind of, like I said, apprehension and frustration. Hopefully they'll be able to straighten it out in the next couple of days, get that playoff spot locked up, and then, you know, focus on the postseason. Maybe even perhaps win a first round series. I mean, I don't know if they can, but I think certainly anything's possible with their lineup and their pitching if it comes through. But it's been so inconsistent. It's hard to trust this team.
I mean, I don't know who I feel more bad for, the Philly fan who's waiting for this team to make it back to the postseason for the first time in a decade, or for the Maris family for having to sit through all those baseball games waiting for Judge to hit 61 home runs.
That's sad to see. I mean, I'm not quite sure why they were there. He's not like the first person to hit they hit 61. So I don't know what the big.
Well, 61 is the American League record. It's the American League record. So
right, and plus he's a Yankee too, so I guess that adds to it as well. But and Maris did it for the Yankees, so yeah, I mean they're probably getting tired of sitting in the stands every night, like you said. I feel worse for the Phillies fans though.
Right. I mean, it is getting ridiculous with Judge. I mean, the dude has been walked 12 times in the last 7 games. Like, I don't know about you, Dave. I can't remember who was the pitcher for McGuire or Sosa or Bonds. I have no idea who those pitchers were. Why are these guys? So the only pitcher that I remember who gave up a famous home run ball was Al Dowling to Hank Aaron. That's it. I can't name you a single other one.
Actually, I was going to mention that as well. Yeah, that's the only guy that really sticks out to me. I should remember who gave up Maris's 61st, but I can't.
Right.
And yeah, people are so worried about their reputation, I guess, and being on ESPN or whatever. But like 10 minutes from now, nobody's going to remember it anyway. They're going to celebrate Judge's accomplishment, not who gave up the dinger.
I mean, just go up there and try to strike him out. And if you give up a home run, just tip your cap and say, good job, man. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. I mean, the one game he had 3 walks in one game. I was like, what are we doing here, folks?
Yeah, there's nothing to be afraid about. I mean, if you're a major league pitcher, then give him your best stuff, and if he hits it out, so be it. More power to him. And you want to try to be the guy who doesn't give it up, but not by walking the guy. You want to strike him out.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. I mean, listen. I mean, I understand that these guys, they have reputations to uphold, but just go out guns a-blazing. I don't want a season to end, Dave, and Judge doesn't get a reasonable shot to hit the record. Because these guys that would be a horrible look for baseball. Right now, they're talking about the Yankee game is supposed to be on Amazon Prime on Friday, about simulcasting on Yes Network. Like that's where we're at right now. I mean, Judge is on almost every day in break-ins on television, but yet we're watching him get walked left and right. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, give him a chance to break it.
Before I let you go, Dave, I wanted to ask you a quick boxing question. It looks like the Fury Joshua fight is not going to work now all of a sudden. Whatever they agreed upon, they can't agree upon. And it's just like, at what point are these people just going to grow up and get over themselves? Like you retweeted about, Larry Holmes and Ernie Shavers on Twitter. And it's like, I mean, we are so far removed from the days of like, anybody being willing to fight anybody. It's just so sad.
Yeah, it is. You're right. I mean, I did remember that the Holmes Shavers fight, and Shavers landed what was arguably the hardest punch ever, and Holmes somehow found a way to get up and to last out the round and go on to win the fight. And it's I don't understand fighters nowadays. You would think if you want to be considered the best, then you have to beat the best. Challenge yourself. Don't be afraid of some up and comer or some other established guy. If you think that you're the best, then the way to prove that is to beat the next best guy. And for whatever reason, but there's so much money, politics, rankings, promoters, site fees. It's all just a big circus anymore.
He's Dave Weinberg. His Extra Point columns over at 973ESPN.com on the 973 ESPN mobile app. And he found a way to jump on. He squeezed it in on his way back from Myrtle Beach. Dave, I appreciate you efforting to get home. Go get home safely, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Jess. I appreciate it as always. I'll talk to you next week.
Of course, you can follow Dave on Twitter at Dave Weinberg19. Josh Hennig back here in the studio here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Let's get some text messages in before we get the break coming up in less than 10 minutes. We'll talk with former MMA lightweight champion Josh Thompson about the state of MMA and Bellator MMA this weekend. Over on the text board, DJ from Summers Point chimes in. It says, Josh, the Phillies are in do and die territory. Do you think we're going to be able to do this thing, or are we going to croak 2020 style? Please don't make it come down to 3 games in Houston. Double exclamation points from DJ in Summers Point. Listen, DJ, two things. One, appreciate you chiming into the show and listening. I don't think they're going to croak like 2020. I think they're still going to make it in. But with what, 9 games left in the season, don't you want to head into the postseason on a high note? Don't you want to be the team that is won more than you lost going in? They're basically a 500 team this month. You got to do better than that if you're the Phillies to me. So, DJ, I think that that's the bigger issue. I don't think they're going to croak like 2020. I think the issue is that this team, I don't know if they really understand the situation that they're in, because there was no reason why you had to pull Wheeler last night when you did. There's no reason why this offense can't score more than 1 run against a average to below average Cubs team. At some point, you just got to go out there and guns a-blazing and get the job done. And the other problem is, look at the weather situation. There's a possibility that one of those games with the Nationals this weekend could have a rain out. Then what happens? Seriously, then what happens? Then you're in a situation where if you have to have a doubleheader, what happens to the bullpen? You have to call guys up. You have to do some special crazy transaction movement. I mean, this is setting up to be a fiasco. And like you said, the Houston series at the end of the year, you could be heading into the Houston series being like, well, if we don't win these games, we're going to accidentally make it to the postseason and probably face the Braves with a team that is, well, upside down. Dan EHC says, what I've been saying for the last 5 years, the Phillies, the scouting of what other teams are is horrible. It's like last night's game. The hitters were confused what Strom was throwing. They were completely clueless. It's got to be the scouting department. Hitters are just not prepared. I think that's part of it, Dan EHC. You're right. Maybe the hitter's not getting the right information, but it's on the players as well. Guys like Harper, Schwarber, JT Realmuto, they got to get together as a group and be like, we got to do better. We got to put a better foot forward to make this team better. So for me, yes, there's got to be better information given to the hitters, maybe better preparation, maybe better scouting reports, but the players got to do better too. Some of those swings last night were just not at good situations or pitches, and that's got to be part of the equation as well. Game Night being brought to you by my friends over at Jenkins. Jenkins is the one call you need to make for whatever you need, from new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing and drain cleaning services. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6262 or online at jenkinsandsons.com. We'll talk to MMA coming up next, and we'll finish out the show with your thoughts and comments. 609-403-0973 is the text board, and you can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night.
The hunt for October continues today on ESPN Radio.
And deep to center. Tied up. He's done it again.
Christian Yelich and the Milwaukee Brewers are locked in a 14 fight for 3 wildcard spots, while the Cardinals are inching toward clinching the NL Central title, and they go head-to-head in Milwaukee. The Cardinals and Brewers. Coverage begins today at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Been car shopping lately? What a hassle. Way overpriced vehicles, limited inventories, endless waits for new cars. But that's not the way it is at Bennett Chevrolet. Because Bennett's got the new and used vehicles you want in stock, ready to roll. And get this, Bennett Chevy is selling new Chevys right at MSRP, not 1 cent more. Look around, you'll see. Selling at MSRP is very rare. And to keep your payments low, we've got financing from just 1.9%. And we're still paying a record minimum $7,000 for any trade, and I mean any trade, towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. That's right, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for the worst trade out there. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And at Bennett, you'll love the way you're treated, because our non-commissioned sales team is paid based on your overall satisfaction, not how much you spend. Come see how easy car buying can be when you find new roads at Bennett Chevy. Egg Harbor Township and BennettChevy.com. With GMF financing, approved credit excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Deluxe.
Hi, I'm Capri, and the little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is the chicken. They actually put it on the grill, cooked it in the sauce. It's definitely a good grilled spicy sandwich.
Order a Grilled Spicy Deluxe sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for the testimonial.
In times of fear, World Vision is there for the most vulnerable. For the last 70 years, we've been standing with kids and families through natural disasters, war, and disease, delivering life-saving aid and helping rebuild lives. And with every act of courage, faith, and love, we do more than just stop the spread of fear. We replace it with hope. Learn more at worldvision.org.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Bianna's bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Progressive presents Married to Your Home.
I'm disgusting.
Oh, House, don't say that.
You could live someplace so much better than me.
That's not true.
Oh, yeah? Look at these uneven stairs. Gross.
House, you know I don't care.
And the squeaky door hinge.
I think it's cute.
No matter how much you already love your house, you'll love it more knowing you could save big bundling your home and auto with Progressive. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Hear ye, hear ye. Thanks for coming to the town square. First, I'd like to tell you about Steve. He's a plumber. I hear he does good work. Also, Tim. He's this new thing called a dentist. Oh, and Monica, she has a new vegan restaurant. I didn't even know that was a thing yet. Anyway, if you need those things, just wander around town and try to find them because the internet hasn't been invented yet, so I don't know.
This isn't the olden days. Now, word of mouth has gone online. At Town Square, South Jersey, we can show you how to harness the power of your existing word of mouth and amplify it online. Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free local customer analysis, where you can see how many local customers in South Jersey you could reach online. Visit townsquarelocal.com and be the Town Square today. That's townsquarelocal.com.
Businesses don't run on automation or algorithms alone. What powers businesses are your people and the people they serve. At Cintas, your dedicated service reps understand what you need to help you keep your employees feeling safe, comfortable, and performing their best. So your business can too. For workwear, essential cleaning products, first aid and safety supplies, and fire protection services, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Rezzle is the world's #1 virtual reality sports trainer. Whatever your team, your sport, your ability, improve your game and train like a pro. Rezzle. Reactions, performance, accuracy, stamina, resilience. Train at home in the Rezzle Sports and Fitness VR training arena. Search Rezzle, Rezzil. The world's #1 virtual reality sports trainer. Available now on MetaQuest.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Don't forget about my friends over at Jenkins. When we here at 97.3 ESPN needed our studio worked on, that's who we called. Yes, no need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy. Jenkins technicians are trained to do it all. For new heating and air installation service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing, and drain cleaning services, call 609-641-6262 or visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. Before we move on for the Phillies, I just want to hit on this really quick. You know, when you're talking about the Phillies and when you're talking about baseball, you got to remember that there's so many variables that go into a baseball game. I think that's one of the reasons why we love it and we hate it at the same time. It's probably part of the reason why people fell in love with all sports as well, which is you see people do things and you know they can do better. And when they don't, it exasperates you. It's all part of the game of life, is it not? You know somebody can do better. And when they don't do better, it drives you nuts. It makes you want to pull your hair out or something. All right, let's jump into some MMA right now. Bellator is coming up this weekend. Bellator 286. You watch the main card this Saturday on Showtime, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And to talk more about it right now is the former Strikeforce lightweight champion, Josh Thompson. He is back on the show here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh, it's been a while. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, brother. I feel like you could have done better. You could have done a better introduction of me. Let's do it all over again. I felt like you could have done better.
Sorry, I'm not Bruce Buffer. I'm not Carlos Silva. So
good stuff, my man. Good stuff. I just gotta poke a little fun while I'm on, buddy.
No, it's all good, man. Listen, you're allowed to. Your name's Josh as well. So
thanks for having me on, bud.
So before we get to Bellator specifically, just give me an idea of what things have been like for you, because obviously, you know, last time you and I talked, we were just coming out of all the COVID stuff and we were all dealing with the aftermath of the lockdowns and the testing and all that craziness. I know for you guys with Bellator MMA, it was a psycho fest. So how have things been for you in the last year now that we've gotten beyond a lot of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we finally just got over the testing. The mask requirements have really got less restrictive. You know, we just try to be very careful around the athletes, making sure that they can still get out there and perform. So when we're around the athletes, everyone tries to respect the space and wear masks around the athletes, because those are the ones that are really put on the show. We want to make sure that they get to the show and they have an opportunity to make money and to perform. And so other than that, I think everything is really on track to getting back to normal. I guess you want it, whatever you want to call normal these days, but it really is becoming that normal phase again. And I think a lot of people are finally settling in and we're back to normal.
Speaking of normal, one of the things Bellator MMA is known for is these Grand Prix. So I know this week, Scott Coker talked about the lightweight Grand Prix coming back next year. And you guys got a lot of studs. You guys got AJ McKee, who's fighting this Saturday. Obviously, Benson Henderson, he's still hanging around. So talk to me about the division that you know so well, the lightweight with the Grand Prix coming back next year.
Yeah, let's talk about the ones you didn't mention, though. You got Usman Nurmagomedov, which is Khabib's cousin. You got Tofiq Musayev, who has also got a win over our current champion, Patricky. They fought in the finals of the Rising Grand Prix. That was a fantastic fight. Tofiq's got that win. He just beat the #1 contender in Sydney Outlaw in impressive fashion. I believe it was in like 19 seconds. Look, we've got some stone cold killers, all that have just recently been signed in the last, I'd say, probably year and a half. The lightweight division, I got to be honest, it wasn't shaping up all that well for a little bit. You had Patricky, who was the mainstay, but then you had a couple other guys, you know, that were there. And then, you know, Chandler kind of washed out and went off, you know, and then they were kind of in the rebuilding phase. And they did a great job of rebuilding that lightweight division. I really feel that this lightweight division is stacked now. They've got some of the best lightweights in the world, if not the best. And it's going to be a really, really good lightweight World Grand Prix.
Now, I mentioned AJ McKee. He's jumping up the lightweight starting this Saturday. What are you expecting from him in a new weight class? Because we know the dude is phenomenally talented, but he's a guy that people like me, we're very curious about to see what he's going to do in Bellator moving forward.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions to be answered. Let's just be honest. He was extremely dominant at 145. Now, I know he had the hiccup against Patricio, but you also have to look at it too, how he dispatched Patricio in such a quick fashion in their first fight. What were you looking to see out of him in the second fight? We saw a lot of sticking and moving, and we saw a lot of that. But now he's going up to 55, where the size will play a big difference. He's a big 45-pounder, a really big 45-pounder. But it doesn't always translate. You go back to some of the other guys. I'll give you an example, is Max Holloway. Max Holloway is big for the weight class at 145. But when he went up to 45, he had no success. And don't get me wrong, he fought a stone cold killer in Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those fights where he had already had a win, I believe, over Dustin. Then he lost to him at the 155-pound division. It didn't translate. Will AJ McKee translate? I believe it will because of the speed. He's already had power. He's got a big body frame to carry that weight. He's extremely athletic. Speed is always going to be the number one thing that I believe that gets these fighters to that next level. He's going to be a lot faster than a lot of fighters at 55. Now, that being said, Spike Carlisle is a grinder, someone who will take a shot to give a shot. He's somebody that's great chin. He's got great cardio. As we saw in his last fight, he took a beating for 2 rounds and kept coming. AJ McKee has been known not to fight smart. He's been known to let it all out and be super aggressive to the point where he ends up slowing down a little bit too much. And he cannot do that against Spike Carlisle. AJ's got all the attributes to go out there and finish him. He needs to go out there and get it done and get the finish. But he's also got to be very careful because Spike Carlisle, he will potentially be there in the 3rd round.
Bellator 286 is this Saturday on Showtime, live from Long Beach, California. Of course, you can catch that 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific with the prelim card streaming online on the Showtime YouTube channel, as well as the Bellator MMA YouTube channel and Pluto TV, beginning 3 hours earlier. Josh Thompson joining us here on GameNight, the former lightweight champion of the world.
There you go. There you go. There you are. I love that.
Yeah,
it's look, the fights that are really out there right now that people need to keep an eye on is Aaron Pico and Jeremy Kennedy. That's going to be a barn burner of a fight. You've got a young talent in one of our female fighters, Sumika Inaba. She is absolutely fantastic. She's got big power in her hands and comes forward very aggressive. Will take a shot to deliver a knockout blow. There are some really good fights on this card, and I'm really looking forward to the whole card. But obviously, we haven't even talked about the main event yet.
No, we haven't. And look, you mentioned his name earlier, Patricio Pitbull. The dude is a phenomenal talent. But Josh, I got to be honest, I completely forgot that this dude has 38 MMA fights under his belt. I mean, this guy has been around for so long, and he's still one of, if not the best in the world at what he does.
Yeah, really what it comes down to is that he's not a big guy, and that's what people don't understand. Let's not forget, he knocked out Michael Chandler. Not a lot of guys can say they've knocked out Michael Chandler. He's got the finish over Michael Chandler where he went up to 155. He was able to starch Michael Chandler in the 1st round. Now, that being said, the speed is what the factor was in that fight. He will not have the speed factor in this fight. He will have the power advantage, though. He does have more power than Adam Boric. Adam Boric is tall, long, and lanky, has beautiful knees, as a lot of fighters have found out. That flying knee has come through for him several times with some big flying knee knockouts. And so look for him to utilize that knee up the middle, Adam Boric against Patricio Pitbull, and look for Patricio Pitbull to get his head offline, counter with the overhand right or the big left hook to try and find Adam Boric's chin.
Josh, I want to ask you, big picture on lightweights, because you mentioned Khabib's cousin, Usman Nurmagomedov, earlier, and the lightweights across the board in MMA today, obviously things are a little different than when you were fighting. So give the audience an understanding of just the world of the lightweight division in MMA today, because for a lot of people, when Khabib retired from the UFC, there's kind of been this vacuum of who are the best lightweights in the world?
Look, let's not. I guess I had to put this all in perspective in a way that everyone should understand. The lightweight division has always been the hardest division to lock down. No lightweight has ever won more than 3 title defenses. None. No one. So when you're talking about this, we're talking about the lightweight division, there has never been one that has been just a full standout. Now, don't get me wrong. Khabib has been one that has been the most dominant. I think he's been the most dominant fighter to ever step foot in the cage. I mean, basically only losing 1 round, you could really say he just kind of took that round off against Conor McGregor. You've had other lightweights come in and be very impressive. Frankie Edgar being the guy who beat BJ Penn. BJ Penn was very impressive in his wins when he won the title, but no one has ever really dominated for longer than 3 title defenses. And so the lightweight division has never been something that someone's been able to lock down for a long period of time. Now, this newer generation of lightweights, I don't know if they're going to be able to use that, but I'm going to tell them right now, they will bring a lot of action. And I continue to say this. Guys like Tofik Mosayev have got me really high on the fact that he brings so much action on the feet. He's an anti-wrestler / big-time striker, very dynamic, will do everything inside the cage. And Usman Nurmagomedov is very composed. He's tall, he's long, he's lanky. He fights at range. He does all the things that he needs to do. He's a very high fight IQ level of a fighter. He is someone that can mix it up in all areas. Very, very dangerous. More of a Taekwondo style stand-up. You know, and then you've got obviously the old dogs in Benson Henderson, who are very well rounded all the way around and can bring the fight to any position they want. So it really comes down to this lightweight World Grand Prix on who is performing the best in that evening and who can implement their game plan the best when it comes time to the fight. That's what's going to really change this lightweight division in the Bellator promotion. Now, in terms of the UFC, I really couldn't tell you because they're kind of all over the place right now in terms of their lightweight division. You've got two of the best guys at the top, and the rest of them don't really want to fight them, or they have fought them and already lost. You've got Islam Makhachev and you've got Charles Oliveira. Those are the two best lightweights in the UFC. The rest of them are all a little bit of a distance behind, and we're going to see how much of a gap there is between Islam and Charles when that fight happens October 22nd.
He's Josh Thompson. He'll be on the call with Bellator MMA. Bellator 286 this Saturday on Showtime, 10 p.m. the main card. Patrico Pitbull, of course, on the card, as well as AJ McKee. Josh, appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy California, my friend.
All right, brother. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to talking to you next time.
Josh Hennig here on GameNight, 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Let's squeeze in one more message from you guys listening over on the text board, 609-403-0973. Also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Texter says, because we talked a little bit earlier about Doug Pederson, Texter says, Josh, do you think Doug Pederson will come in here and beat the Eagles? I'm a little worried about it. That's over on the text board. You know, I think Doug has a chance to win this week. I think that when you're talking about, you know, a guy who used to coach, I think he's the coach of the year candidate right now. I think that he's got Jacksonville completely turned around in the right direction. The question with Doug is, in Jacksonville, what does that team look like against an Eagles team? Because both sides have film on each other. So who is going to read the film better? Is there something about Jalen, something about this team that Doug knows that you and I having a conversation don't know about? All right, thanks, Dave Weinberg. Thanks, Josh Thompson, for joining the show. I'm Josh Hennig. I'll catch you tomorrow. And for those of you watching on the YouTube channel, give it a like, subscribe. Appreciate you jumping on. A couple things I want to hit on the YouTube only feed before I get out of here. First of all, thanks to all of you who are watching. Second of all, I want to follow up really quick with what Josh Thompson said. MMA is a sport where it's not like boxing where, you know, random dudes win left and right. It's not how it works in that sport. So, you know, he's right. You know, for guys to have had the success that they've had, to continue to have the success that they're having, I think it's a big part of that conversation for that sport. And, you know, if Bellator's biggest problem right now is marketing. You know, that's part of the reason why, you know, people like me are part of the conversation. You know, 10 years ago, the UFC was calling people like me to do interviews. They don't need people like me anymore. They don't, you know, they don't really care about the local radio stations and markets anymore. They're trying to promote their stuff on a national level. So for sports like PFL and Bellator, who are the 2 and 3 MMA organizations in the world, they still have phenomenally talented fighters, but they're trying to grow their brand. And when you have these studs that Josh Thompson mentioned earlier in the show, you got to be able to promote those guys anytime you can, not just because you want to promote your sport and promote your brand and promote your organization, but because you're doing it for the fighters. You got an obligation to the fighters to put them in the best position to make money off of their careers. You know, professional athletes have a very, very, I wasn't planning on talking about this, but athletes have a very small window to make money. These guys only have maybe a 3 to 13 year window, depending on the sport, to make money, and then they're done. Look at Josh Thompson. This is a guy who is the lightweight champion of the world. And he was lightweight champion of the world at a time where, if I'm being honest with you guys, half the world didn't care. Okay? Josh Thompson was a phenomenal fighter. And he fought pretty much most of his career in either Strikeforce or UFC. He ended his career in Bellator. And his final fight, he lost to who's a guy, one of the best guys in Bellator right now, Patricky Pitbull Ferrari. But for his career, Josh Thompson was competitive with some of the best fighters in the world. He went the distance with Tony Ferguson. He went the distance with Benson Henderson. He beat Nate Diaz. He went the distance in a split decision with Gilbert Melendez. I mean, this is a guy who went, he was a wrestler who had to fight a boxer in KJ Noons, who was a very good takedown defense at the time. He had all these great fights, but because it happened 10, 13, 14, 15 years ago, he doesn't get the respect he deserves. Why? Because he fought in an era where people weren't paying attention, and Strikeforce was kind of a messy situation, and Bellator has had to come out of a new corporate ownership situation. So a guy like him, he would have made way more money in today's world because of social media, because of promotion, all kinds of things. But, he didn't get that opportunity. And there's tons of fighters like him who it's important to them to promote their sport today because they're trying to make sure the athletes who are competing today have the opportunities that they didn't have previously. So it's something to keep in mind. I wasn't planning on talking about that at all. I'll get to the thing I was going to talk about probably tomorrow after the show. But, look, when it comes to professional athletes, when it comes to sports, I just wish more people would keep in mind that these athletes are doing the best that they can with what they got. And that's why I said earlier, one of the most frustrating things in being a sports fan, being a sports analyst, is when someone is better than they're performing, better than they're executing. And when they don't go out there and execute it, when they don't go out there and perform, it's a huge problem. And it's very frustrating. Doesn't matter what the sport is. It could be the Phillies with their batting. It could be the Eagles offensive line with the 6 penalties in 1 week and all the missed assignments the week before that in Detroit, all the penalties on Monday Night Football. It could be basketball when you see a player, have a poor shooting game and, them not living up to their potential for a couple games in a row. It could be hockey when a goaltender has a cold streak and he's giving up some fluky goals. It could be in MMA when, look at a guy like Tony Ferguson I mentioned earlier. It's one of the best lightweights to never win a championship. And, guys like him and Dan Henderson, they don't get the respect that they deserve because they never won the unanimous UFC championship. But they're still amazing athletes. They're still amazing fighters. And they're still, good people. These athletes, when they make money, they take care of people in their lives. Look at Israel Adesanya, all the things he has done for his family and the people in New Zealand with the money that he has made by being a UFC champion. Look at professional athletes. Look, I'm not a fan of Carson Wentz, but he's done a ton of charity work for the people in Haiti. These are things that people don't talk about that athletes are using their money for. It's not just about the bling, not just about the cars and the houses. These athletes are going for their one shot, like Eminem said in the 8 Miles movie. Lose Yourself is the song. You got one shot. And if you don't make it, someone else take the opportunity. So, and by the way, if Aaron Judge has 61 home runs by the end of the week, I think Rob Manfred needs to have a conversation with people around baseball because you can't keep walking this guy. It's ridiculous. All right. I'm Josh Hennig, at Josh Hennig on Twitter. I appreciate you guys watching on the YouTube stream only. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, follow me on all the social media platforms, and I'll be back tomorrow for Game Night. We'll talk some college football, Thursday football, and more right here on Game Night. Of course, you can 97.3 ESPN FM on the radio, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, right here on the YouTube channel. If you want to watch the show, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. Catch you tomorrow.